Codat is used to build powerful applications with financial data. It's used by companies like banks, payment providers, and more to connect to the software small businesses use. Today I'm going to show you an overview of our portal and also where you can sign up to start building with Codat. This is our marketing website, and you can find a couple of key resources here, like for instance our documentation. This is going to be a really key tool for you as you go through build. But you can also click on Start Building to go to our sign up page. Signing up is really easy. You just need your email address, full name and company name, and you'll get an email which you'll need to click on to activate that account. I've already made my account, so I'm going to take you through the onboarding flow here. So I just need to share where I'm based. In this case, I'm in the UK, company size, and the fact I'm either a product manager or I'm working in the engineering team. So this is the first key decision you need to make. Which product is right for you? And if you're not sure yet, well, there's lots of resources in our documentation. But if you just want to kind of kick the tires with Codat and understand some of the data types that Codat can offer you, or what building to our APIs might be like in principle, then Lending API is probably a good starting point. Offers a broad array of data from a broad array of sources. And although it offers some core powerful functionalities that are specific to lenders, this is quite a good way of getting to grips with what Codat is and how the ecosystem works. In this case, I haven't been integrating already with Xero, and I don't have any auth tokens to migrate, but if you do, you can explore this in our migration documentation or talk to your point of contact at Codat to migrate those over. And then we do offer some integrations which you can turn on out the box, which means you don't have to kind of go in and enter API keys and things, but I'm not interested in that today. Cool, so with those minimal pieces of data, I've created my Codat instance and I'm on the home page. So this is a really useful dashboard view, and you can see the number of companies you have within Codat over time, companies being your SMBs that you're kind of linking data for. And you can also see a breakdown of the connections against those companies to their sources of data. So for each source, like their accounting platform or banking platform, there'll be a different connection. And at the moment, I've got 3 linked sandbox connections, so that's all happy. But over time, your user might rescind access to the platform, or it might expire, or something else might go wrong. So it's really helpful to have this quick view of, say, deauthorized. And you can click on that and you can see a quick view of just those deauthorized connections. You've also got some useful links at the bottom to help you get started, like the API keys, the documentation for this specific product, Lending API in this case, and also the API reference for that product. I'm going to click on linked and I'm going to go to the companies view, and I'm seeing here a filtered view actually of just the linked connections, but because I've just made the account, I only have one connection anyway. And this demo company, well, hopefully you'll see more companies on this table over time, but in a future video I'm going to show you how to create a company, which you can do from here, and then how to link access, authorize access to sandbox data for that company. But you can also click on a company to dig into some other views, like the actual raw data for that company, so what's been pulled from accounting, banking, commerce, respectively, and also any uploaded files. You can see the history of any pull and push operations, so that's writing to source in the case, or like creating, updating, modifying data in a source in the case of push, or retrieving data from a source platform in the case of pull. And then finally, because I've got Lending API on, I'm also seeing some Lending API specific views like metrics, reports, and our powerful account categorization feature. You can also export data in an Excel format. It's only partial coverage of our different data types, and you'll only see data that you've kind of actually authorized access to here. And then finally, you can refresh data. So if you wanted to re-pull data from the source, you can click it here and we'll go to, say, Xero, and we'll get the latest data for you. You can also do all of this, of course, via API, by viewing the data, refreshing data, etc. Another really useful section of the portal is monitoring. So when you click on monitor, you'll go straight to the webhook monitoring section. So as an asynchronous system primarily, webhooks are a really important part of building a system on top of Codat. And you'll need to create event listeners later in the settings section. But where those events fire, you can view them here. We also have offline connectors to, say, on-premise accounting systems, and so you can find a monitoring tool for our on-premise connectors here. And then finally, if you are using our authorization flow, you'll be able to monitor how far your users are getting down that authorization flow and where they're dropping off. The settings section, really important to get to grips with. 4 key areas. Auth flow, I'll dig into that in a different video as well, but the authorization flow is the tool by which your SMBs authorize access to their data. Webhooks, as I mentioned, really useful for building asynchronous systems, and in the rules section you can set up rules that you want to listen to certain events. The integration section is where you go to manage the integrations you're going to authorize, pull data through. Out of the box, Sandbox is enabled, and we have a couple of other integrations that you can just turn on that don't need configuring. If you want to start pulling data from Xero, for instance, and you click Setup, you'll need to share a client ID and secret. And we do show detailed guidance on how to set up each of our integrations. They usually involve signing up to a developer account for that system and getting the credentials and inputting them. But yeah, as I say, useful documentation linked to here. And then once that's set up, you can click Enabled or Save, and it'll be turned on. We also have some premium integrations, which you won't be able to use on the free trial, but you can talk to an account manager about grading to access those, like our more complex integrations or on-premise integrations. And then also your data type settings, really important. This kind of governs what you're pulling by default when a company authorizes access. So in this case, because I'm using Lending API, I'm interested probably in balance sheet, bank accounts, bank transactions, and more. So the moment one of my customers authorizes access to their data, Codat will take care of pulling balance sheet, bank accounts, bank transactions, and more for me. And that's defined by this fetch on first link setting. You can also set up a sync frequency. So I might want to pull account transaction data on a weekly cadence, or I might want to do this all myself and use our API. Finally, you can find your API keys in the developer section. One is always made for you out of the box, but you can create more, and you can name them something sensible, and you can that will help you manage those keys going forward. Finally, in the top right of the portal, you can also see a place where you can manage your personal account. Links to support, so if you have an issue, you can always contact support there. Any new updates or deprecations should appear here. You'll get a little notification badge. And then finally, you can find a link to our documentation. So that's a sort of overview of the portal. This developer portal will sort of be your main point of both visualizing data, monitoring issues with Codat, and also managing the settings. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to create a company and how to link Sandbox data for that company.